to market, the plain tea failed flat. Remember we said be ready to fail flat. And the other one picked up. It was a difficult journey. But what I'm trying to tell you is I didn't have to recreate tea. I didn't have to grow a new plant. It's just something uongeze kitu ingine. You know, we have a lot of designers today. All they do is they want to copy somebody else. Come up with your own unique thing. Today, there are certain designers I can even see and say, I know that is so-and-so, I know that is so-and-so, I know that is so-and-so, because they've dared to be different. And that's what makes you whatever. You have to be comfortable looking silly until somebody buys. And it is a difficult journey. I mean, I remember the day my parents sat me down. The lecture was, you're going to be a failure, you're never going to go anywhere in life, we've educated you so well, we expected you to just get a job and get married. But I stuck my ground. Within a year, obviously, they apologized, and now we are best friends. But you have to be ready for that. You have to be enthusiastic. You have to be ready to take risks. You have to learn to be comfortable with risk. And I keep telling people it's a muscle. I was not born taking the risk I'm taking today. No way. You take a little bit. And it's like when we're young. Remember when you're young? And you're told, usipita hapa. Unapita, you see what happens. Then unapita, you see what happens. Unapita tena, after some time, even when they tell you usipita, we are just looking at them like Mimi. And you just keep going where you're going because nobody stopped you. But what have you done? You've built a muscle. Unfortunately, a muscle of disobedience, but you've built a muscle. And that's exactly what risk is. So women, we are very poor risk takers, incidentally. We are known to be poor. Why? Because we want to cross the T and dot the I, and we have to be careful. And do you know, actually, the men tell me I'm risk averse. Despite everybody thinking I'm a celebrated entrepreneur, the guys tell me I'm risk averse. So we already have it in our DNA, so you have to fight it. Me, when I have an idea, I get the idea and then I stop thinking. I say, I'm following that idea. When people are trying to scare me, I say, I'm not even wanting to think about that. I don't want to think about it. Other people will think about it. Other people will mitigate my risk. Because if you think as a woman, you will never move. But as you build a muscle, it will always get better. Learn to have independence of mind. I speak to many people because we're always trying to solve problems. But when you get a good idea, stick with it. Because there'll always be naysayers. Always, always, always. Build an innovative culture in your life. And let me tell you, those young girls I saw standing up, those become my best friends. My nieces, my nephews, I sit with them. And I listen and I look at their habits and I see what are they doing. What can I do differently? You know, I'm in tea. I've been in tea 27 years. My children are now, some are 20, one is 2019 and one is 12. They don't drink tea. And they say, Mommy, we love you to death, but no, hatutaki. In the morning, they're in the fridge. I thought, oh my gosh. So I started saying, I've lost this generation, my own. So what has Melvin's done now? Now we are following their trend. We are coming out with instant tea by the end of this month. Tea you just carry in a sachet. Guess who's calling me already for it? Because I've been using the youngsters as tasters. They're calling me, where is it? Where is it? I'm climbing Mount Kenya. I want to carry just a sachet of tea, already made, mixed up, 4 flavors, 3 flavors, whichever. Auntie, where is it? Is it ready? Where does that? It comes from looking around you. What are they doing, the next generation? This 70% that we've been told, as we already told, we are tumefika huko. But these people, see what they're doing. How are they purchasing? Where are they wasting their time? Marketing, I could never afford. You know, when I started 27 years ago, Nation would come. Excuse me, we've noticed you have a new brand we want you to advertise. You look at the rates, it's not even my turnover of 3 years. So I tell them it's okay. But today you don't need Nation. You don't need whatever. Social media is free. All you have to do is take yourself to class, learn how to do these 2 things, and you're okay. But I tend to find people saying, how do you do this? How do you do this? There's no excuse to marketing, by the way, none at all. None. You have to market. But I keep telling you people, gosh, you're so lucky. So try new things. With the people who are best at this, learn to be lonely. It's a lonely journey, by the way. When you go home on Friday, it's not that your phone is ringing. Because you don't want to go to the club with the ones who are going. Because tomorrow, you're waking up. I keep telling this story, and my team, unfortunately for them. Marketing, I knew, was a big thing. Remember, I've brought a tea in iko na tangawizi. So people used to tell me, tangawizi iko happy. So they're wondering, are they going to be given the root, or are they going to be given the tea? So I realized, these people, the only thing I can do is just give them the tea to taste. And that's what I used to do. So I used to go with a thermos, these big thermoses of I don't know how many liters, and I used to time the cold season. I go to Kawangware. I go to the market, and the small 50 grams, they're 200 in a carton. I used to tell my team, if we sell 400 pieces, those are enough people. So I go to the mama, I say, how are you? Of course, I talk in their language. If I can, I give them. They say, hey, nikega, oh, it's nice. What? Hey, hii ni mzuri, nipatia moja. It was 10 bob, I remember. I just used to sell 400 a day. So I knew the market days. I knew Kawangware was Tuesday. I knew Odero was, Thursday. And now Odero was nice because once you do there, then in the evening, you go to the shops and then you do it around the people coming home from work. So I literally had to make people taste the product because that was what my differentiator was. Otherwise, they were not going to be able to know what was different. So there's no shortcut to these things. Then it got to a stage where it became boring. So I went to Akina Maliwaza and Muzepembe, that team. I sold my car and I bought a very ugly left-hand drive pickup because I had no money. And on Saturday, then I made a very big packet of Melvin's tea, about as big as that, and I put it on top of my pickup. And I can see her laughing. And I used to just drive that on Saturdays with them, and I learned Swahili very much. Sijui kona dalasini, kona nini. And they would go and entertain a crowd round the markets. What am I doing? I'm just selling my 400 pieces a day. And I knew a step at a time, I didn't know, really. I just had to get it in front of people. You guys, I have to get it in front of everybody. And that's how slowly the brand built itself. So today, when I go somewhere where, in fact, where do you work, Melvin's? Huh? What? But today, more or less, people sort of roughly know what Melvin's is. So learn to be lonely. So I was not clubbing, I was not doing what my age mates were doing. Remember, I was in my 20s. If I got to a stage, they told me, when we are coming to a function, don't come with that car, we'll pick you up. Apana? You're embarrassing us. As far as they were concerned, I was embarrassing them. And learn to think like a child. You know what a child does? A child doesn't bother about protocol. A child doesn't bother about, I don't know what. They can tell you, they can make a very embarrassing statement. You know, yesterday, somebody, okay, we're in church, I wouldn't say that one. Anyway, it's an interesting one. There was a lady who was saying that the baby came and said, Mami, tuko na wadadi wawili, sijui yule wa juu na yule wa chini. I mean, children say anything, but in that, I'm sorry, pastors. But what I'm trying to bring home is you have to think like that child. You have to question like that child. You have to see, I keep telling my team, perception is reality. If I make a product and I send it, because I do this a lot, when I'm making a product, I'll do the color and I'll send it around. Like even now today, I had some samples of my instant tea. And I'll give it to people. And they say, blue, inakaa kama omo. I cannot come and start whatever and saying, no, read, it's tangawizi. No. In business, perception is reality. And the minute you live like that, that is where you'll get a take. When somebody's opening a product or doing something and they say, I wish there could be something that could do this and this for me. That is an opportunity. So you ask yourself, now what you do when you get an idea is you ask yourself, what is the size of the pie? How many, like when I was thinking, how many people take tangawizi? So I started going around and asking. And I noticed a lot of us go and buy that, it was tea masala at the time and whatever. So I said, a lot of people in Kenya take tangawizi. So that would be my first flavor. Then when I came to second flavor, because I knew what is the size of the pie, I started saying there's a lot. Then it became the next flavor. I started saying, what is the next flavor to tangawizi? You just ask. Ask your friends, your cousins, whatever. They said masala. That became my next one. Then I went to the next one. Then it became cinnamon. That became my other one. So slowly, you're building. So the size of you've got to look at the size of the pie. Then ask yourself, what slice of that pie do you want? So for us, we're fortunate. I think we own the flavored tea sector. But in the size of the tea market, I'm still a dot. Because remember what failed flat? My plain tea. I have tried to build a plain tea 5 times. 5. I called it Melvin's Premium Tea, ikaanguka. I called it Melvin's Chai Taifa, ikaanguka. I said Melvin's tea with vitamin. I said, Kwanza vitamin B. You see, I'm still trying to add value. I did another one called All Family because all families take tea, ikaanguka. One day, and this was 2017, I think, or 18, we were busy designing, and I was telling them, I still have to get into black tea, plain tea. And they were telling me, yo, Acha. I said, no, I have to. So when we're doing the design, my sales manager walks in and says, but why can't you do a product that mirrors the other products? I said, because it's plain tea. She said, no, your brand equity now is okay. Just make it look like the tangawizi, but you call it this and just change the color. And there was my aha moment. So we did the product. We did it in yellow and green, which is typical of tea. Do you know when we went to the list in the supermarkets, they were saying, lakini si hii iko, lete carton 10, lete 100, lete, like that. So my point is, when you're an entrepreneur, learn to keep trying. Me, I had to succeed in this area. Then everywhere I'm going, nyinyi munasema, no, Melvin's tangawizi, lakini tunakunywa gold. Huh? Tangawizi tunakunywa gold. Even my mother, tunakunywa gold. I'm like, really, guys? So just in last year, we now have a Melvin's gold. So I'll show it to you here. So have a passion. Can you see it's there. I can do it overnight. Business is what you do. When entrepreneur is what you do even if you don't get paid. By the way, if you don't pay me, it's okay. But my challenge is there to keep moving. So we can change the slide. So there are 3 key areas I'm going to tell you to be a successful entrepreneur. The first one, if you have to know yourself. Who are you? Leadership needs you to develop markets. You hear? It needs you to attract customers. It needs you to talk to your suppliers. So who are you as your person? A lot of us are introverts, by the way. And I was introvert 101. I don't know if I was in school with anybody here, but I was introvert 101. The quiet one at the back, but my mom kept telling me, very stubborn. If I say I'm going this way, I'm going this way. But very introverted. Does that work for attracting customers, talking to suppliers? Absolutely not. So slowly, because of my passion, I learned to just start talking. I learned to come out. I learned to talk to the supermarket. I learned. You guys are lucky you have Google. Sisi tulikuwa natafuta ile vitabu. You know those ones you even in your grandmother's house that have dust up to here. Sijui, learn to influence friends and make, what was that book? Anyway, we had to read a lot to make yourself whatever. You have to know your strengths and your limitations. I have a soft heart. So you've employed somebody to be a salesperson. You're paying them. To you, you can't even afford. I used to pay salaries and pay myself like middle of the month. So this particular time I've hired this person, and then I didn't know what was this, what happened. They were not performing. Do you know I couldn't fire? I couldn't. I could hire, but I couldn't fire. Luckily, my mom was my silent partner. So I used to tell her, this one, this one, this one. Imagine, just tell them they need to go. So I come, I bring the salaries end of the month, then I disappear. 3 days. 3 days I'm not going to the office. I'm scared of this person because you've given them notice, but I'm scared of facing them. So know your limitations. But fortunately for me, because she was also a seasoned entrepreneur, she stood by me. Now, it might not be your mother, but you might have a friend. You might have if you can afford a consultant, you might have somebody who can help you. But know your strengths and know your limits. Because in business actually is the harshest teacher in life. It's haina patience. If you don't jump on that opportunity at that time, imekuacha. So, and you don't have the skills, you don't have the resources, you can do 2 things. You can go to the bank, try and get the resources. You can get a partner, or you can say, let this one pass me, I'll catch it on the next round. But entrepreneurship, being your own business person, is rough. So leadership is about being self-aware. The more authentic you are as a person, the more you'll tend to find your team and your people being authentic as well. So be authentic, know your limits. Like now, when they come to tell me stories about marketing, I tell them, I have been on that pickup, I have slept in those Nakurus, I know those towns, you're not telling me anything I don't know. But what I tell them is, I've earned my stripes, I'm not gonna do it now. So you go and do it. And we have those kind of conversations. If you're a big picture person and you want to step out into your own business, don't go and try and think that you'll be the one to open the office, utafanya your business plan. You won't, you can't. So don't kill yourself with what you're not good at. Learn to augment what you're not good at with other people, other ideas. There's a lot of outsourcing, by the way, a lot. You can outsource your HR now, you can outsource your marketing, you can outsource a lot. And there are a lot of outsourcing for SMEs. And don't be scared. The other thing we are as women is we are so polite. Bank manager Nakuja is coming to harass you and you're like, yeah, me, my bank manager, why? We have proper conversations. I tell him, you do if you want, but me, I don't have, and I want. I want that money, I need it, but I don't have this kind of collateral. Do you know we've become such good friends, they even call me, they say, we have a new fund for you. apps I have brought, I don't know, a supplier payment something. I jump on that one. They're the ones even now who call me because I've learned just to be truthful. And you don't have to be rude. Eh? You don't need to be rude. I don't think I'm a rude person. I'm just very forthright. So I'll tell you, I love that program. Do you have an SME rate? They look at you first. Then slowly they say, okay, we can do 1, 2, 3. When I was starting my business, I didn't used to have enough money. I keep telling this story, how I used to bounce checks. I know Elizabeth is in the room, but it was not a crime at that time. In a day, I could bounce 5. And not only that, I used to feel nothing. You call me, ati check ime bounce. Hiya, ime bounce. I just didn't have money, and I'm not stealing, and I can't get the money. What do I do? So I just used to say, oh, okay. Give me till tomorrow. I paid all my bills, incidentally, and that's why I'm still alive today. But I know I was rough. And then I would go and have a conversation. So in fact, half these funds you're seeing today, a lot of them even just call me and say, okay, just tell us, what do you have, and how do we support you? So pushing, learn to push the envelope, because people always want to box you. Some financier has sat somewhere and decided this is the model and this is the box. You come to me, I'll push you out of the box, and learn to do that. You know why? Because today, everybody is for the SME. Everybody is for the entrepreneur. Everybody wants to support you. So say what you want. And it's a characteristic we suffer as women, but we need to learn to say what you want. So know yourself, know who you are, and equip yourselves to be that. Next slide. I think I've explained this slide already. These are the kind of challenges you face in entrepreneurship, whether it's the product, those of you in services, where do I get market information, where do I get resources, how do I do planning, where do I get finance, how do I do marketing? It is a nightmare, and the nightmare never ends. The only difference between me and 27 years ago is my problems are bigger. The loan is bigger. The salaries are bigger. The trouble is bigger. Nothing has changed. This is the cycle, and these are the things that we go through. So the second thing, so I said know yourself. The second thing is you have to know your environment. If you change slides. So change slides. This is my first product, the salt I was telling you about. I don't know how many of you saw that one. And this was my first poster, which I was very proud about. It flows freely all the time. And I thought, this is the Nita, I'm going to really succeed. In fact, I started dreaming of reading Forbes magazines and things like that. 27 years ago, at Sijafika, no, I think I was, yeah. So, why I'm saying know the environment, I didn't really understand the size of the market I was getting into. You're going into a niche product, free-flowing salt. Those are people who only have table. First, you have to have a table to use table salt. Then, So the size of the market, I didn't understand it. I remember when I delivered this product to my first supplier, it was a hotel, Sarova actually, and they said, this is brilliant, all our hotels, bring me 100 dozens. I told the man, I don't have that. He said, what do you mean? Young lady, are you doing business or are you serious? I said, yes, I'll bring. So I went home and I met my friend's mom, and she lent me some money. Only 36,000, by the way, not a lot. And I went and I made the product, and I brought it back 3 days later, and I supplied my 100 dozens. So I said, here's your invoice. He said, oh, thank you, see you in 90 days. I said, 90 days? 90, 30, 30, 30. I borrowed this money. This man was on the floor. He said, have you done your homework? I said, which homework? Do you know hotels pay on 90 days? So I had not studied my environment. I did not know what I was getting into. Mimi ni wale wa kuenda tu, will fall forward. So you must, ladies, you must know. This is niche. Now imagine if I had taken a huge loan. Fortunately for me, God loves me. I didn't have the money, remember. So everything, I was bouncing checks. Even the machines I was using, I had written checks to pay in 6 months. So I didn't have a big loan. And now, imagine if I had gone and thought I was going to be that millionaire and taken a big loan with this. I would have died. I would have been out of the market. I would be elsewhere and clearly not here. So you must know the size of the market you're getting into and then what you're aiming for. I should have known my numbers before that. Let's go to the next one. So again, in knowing yourself, this is more the journey. Oops, okay. when it comes. Yes, so those were our first products. You can see we went into the tangawizi, the one at the back, and then now slowly we had to evolve quickly because now I started going to those NGOs. Yeah, I make salt, I make tea, Kenyan tea. I want to export, I want to go to London. Within the same year that I've made it. So this man asks me, how many flavors do you have? I said, 1. He's looking at me like, are you serious? These are consultants that was hired by the tea board, and they've said, yeah, we do tea, Kenyan tea, flavored tea. He told me, I'm on this program for 4 months. If you can come back to me in 4 months with 4 flavors, I'll take you to London. Quickly, nikaenda. I did cinnamon, vanilla, masala, and I came back and I told him, let's go. Now, I'm not understanding my environment again. We go to London. This gentleman, you know how, I don't know how they read TURs. He takes me to James Finley. He takes me to Williamson. This guy do bulk tea. How are they going to help me get on the shelves in the UK? So I came back home, and one guy was actually very arrogant. He said, why do you think we will even allow you to sell value-added tea in the UK? But did I know my environment? What was I doing there? That one was a little bit of a nini. So the product continued to evolve. Let's go to the next one. Next slide. So this became our next look. You can see on the which side is that? On the right-hand side, we started doing rice. Uchumi had approached us to do for them contract packing. I don't know if some of you know, they had started doing rice. So they said, oh, we like the way you do your tea, please do for us rice. So I said, okay, I'll do for myself brown. I won't do white because we are competing. So for about 2 years, again, environment. For about 2 years, my work is to go to Mwea, buy rice, come back, pack for them. Good business, but you're just trading. You're just buying and selling, because it's their brand, so it was moving very quickly. My product is still moving. Then I go to somebody and I said, excuse me, I need money, man. I'm supplying uchumi. Now I'm starting to get horns. I'm supplying uchumi. So they're like, let me see your balance sheet. And he looks at my balance sheet and says, you don't need money. What you need is a board of advisors. Ujui kile unafanya wewe. What is this? My debtors were up to 10 million. This is how many years ago. So I was like, what? Then he told me, incidentally, ujaskia? I said, skia nini? He said, you haven't heard the supermarket is financially struggling? I said, what? No wonder they came to me. So it starts making sense. Do you know, being the person I am, I stopped working. I used to report to Chumi every day. Please pay me, please pay me, please pay me. By the time they were going down, by the way, they only went down with my 300 only. I managed to get my money out. Knowing your environment, I should have known before. I didn't know, but I managed to salvage what I could. Incidentally, this gentleman came on my board. He's actually still on my board. And he got me he told me to go and think. What do you lack? You need to professionalize your business. If you can take such risks and you're doing these things, I think you're losing a lot of opportunities. So I sat down and I said I wanted a marketer. I'm not good in marketing. I said in HR. So I got a team of 3 people. My first board member the second one now, was from BAT. So he asked me, why do you want me to be a board member? I said, I want to professionalize. I want to feel professional. So he says, what is that? I said, these things you people do, structures, policies, those things. Yeah, I can't even articulate, because of course I've not done my homework enough. So he walks in, he says, okay, do a presentation, first board meeting. We sit down, looks, he said, excuse me, I have a question. Is your industry this convoluted, or is it the CEO who's so confused? Number one, I knew I had the right board member, because somebody who can speak truth to you is who you want. Unfortunately, a lot of us go and get the person who tells you, Unakaa mzuri? Of course not. This guy, Yani, he went at my throat. But he was brilliant. He came, he sat with us, he gave us processes, procedures, do this, do that, do the other. And in this whole process, by the way, one Friday afternoon, 4 of my only 4 salespeople quit together. So I asked them, what's happened? They say, madam, everything centers around you. Kila kitu. Tufungue, tufunge, tufanye hii, tuende hii. We are tired. We can't. So somebody told me to read this book, E-Myth by Michael Gruber, that says systems, standardize, 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 standardize. Learn to work on your business, not in your business. I was working in my business. Everything revolved around me. Shall we hire? Shall we fire? No. So once I did that, and the book says, once you do the standards, don't go to work for 1 week and see what happens. I didn't go for 1 week, and my business started running on its own. So all of a sudden, I have a team of advisors who are advising me. Now I've put in standards. I know what is going on. We are still evolving the products. If you go to the next one, we still evolve because constantly in the market, things happen, things change. Oh, I can even see a product. I didn't tell you. Plain tea. I even had another one there. Pure Kenya tea, that one with a gold cup. Still, it failed. But anyway. Next slide. So we had yet another look over the years. Next slide. Yeah, and the next one. So this is more or less how we look right now during our 25 years. So this pure Kenya chai, you see it looks like tangawizi. That is when it succeeded in the market. Because people already are familiar. They say, yeah, hii tunaijua. That is the one that succeeded. So now we have medley of infusions. We have Orthodox tea, which is our luxury brand. And we've extended the range of the salts. Next slide. This is our luxury brands. You have even white tea, purple tea, black, green. Very nice when you want to feel good. Next slide. This is brand building, things we do when we go outside. Next slide. So during COVID, mulienda nyumbani nyinyi wote. And we are grateful because you drank tea, and a lot of tea. So we did okay. But the offices were not calling. Nobody was doing anything. So I started thinking, what's going on? Unasikia, even the banks are saying, tumerudi skeleton staff. So I started saying, so, who is making your tea? And that's why we came up with a fresh brew machine. The same way you have coffee. Now you can press a button, and you get tea masala, tangawizi, cardamom. We also do coffee, just make sure it's not very nice so that you don't get used to it. and I think chocolate. So this you can see there, we said no human contact, done by a machine. So this was an innovation now we came out during COVID. Remember I told you guys, when it is rough, you have to roll with the punches. There is no other way. And incidentally, it can get rough paka you feel you want to quit. I have tried to sell my business 2 times. And both times I got a buyer. And both times they were Asians. So I said, hiya, if an Asian wants my business, maybe there is something. And the poor person who went to look for the poor person who went to look for this market was my mother, because she said, umenichokesha, you're serious? Yeah, okay, I have this person. In fact, I need to ask her whether she used to set me up. Maybe there was no person buying. You know, mothers were very crafty. So maybe she was, I actually need to find out from her. So now we actually pay it forward. Next slide. We have a Women in Manufacturing program where we mentor women in manufacturing. Reason I chose manufacturing is A, it's my space, but B, a lot of women manufacture something. When I'm in hospital giving birth, I think I was being told, this nurse, akona na hii baraklava, sijui what, she's knitted, nini. When you're in the market, a woman is saying, hapa niko na hii. When you're here, somebody is saying, I make cosmetics, you'll mix. But this is manufacturing, but we are not scaling up. So what we do is we get you into a mentorship program and try and help you scale up. And the opportunities I have, because for me, I can call the CEO of all these retail shops. I try and get an audience for my ladies. So we have a particular day and they come and I say, listen, just come and listen to them, educate them. Some have gone in, some not, but they have the education to be able to get there when they're ready. So next slide. So if we were to put it all together, remember we say you know yourself, know your environment, and know your field. So 20% of businesses fail within the first year. These are global statistics. 45% do not make it past the 5th year. 65% do not make it beyond 10 years. And only 25%, there's something wrong with that figure, only 25% make it beyond 15 and going further. So what are the characteristics of an entrepreneur? You have to make sure you're, go back. You're curious. You do structured experimentation. Let things fall. A lot of innovation, even tea. How was tea found? Remember, there was an emperor who was sleeping under a tree, drinking water. A leaf fell, and he drank it, and that's why he said, "Hiya, this is a drink that is nice." That was how tea evolved. It was not structured in experiment, it was an accident. But a lot of things come from that. Even accidents. If I go here and fall, the question you should be asking is, how do I make sure the next person doesn't do that? That's an innovation. Whatever it is, you have to be, and that's why I said, think like a child. Decisiveness. Sometimes you take a path, people will say no, people will want to kill you. You've heard my story. And then you have to be adaptable. You have to be adaptable when things go terribly wrong. Number one, come to church. Number two, learn to adapt. You cannot, as an entrepreneur, stick your guns too much. And then you have to be a good team builder. Because remember, now we are trying to say we want to work on our business, not inside it. So you have to have a good team. Si wale wanakuja wanatukana watu, ati hamjauza? Kwani mimi nikiwa hapa si nilikuwa nauza? Hauwezi kuuza? Surely when you leave, how will that person sell? So you have to be a good team leader, but you also have to know yourself. Remember, I'll give you a case in point. I cannot motivate too much. I know that. And especially a certain kind of people, I cannot. So me, I told them a long time ago, if I'm not the one doing the sales, let me step back from the sales team, because I'm one of those. Jauza, I used to do it. So I said no. So today, the team, whatever numbers they bring, I'm like, okay, the most I'll do is have an engagement with their manager. But because I know myself, I cannot, and I've just said, that's not my area. But I have to have people to build that team. So if you go to the next slide. Now these are Kenyan numbers. 75%. You see, it's worse than the other one. The other one was 20%, don't go past the first year. 75% in Kenya, don't go past. Sorry, no, the other one, first year was 45. Kenya is 75. Don't go past 5 years. And you know why? It's because the Kenyan environment is tough. It is not easy. And that's why you see us in places like Kenya Association of Manufacturers, KEPSA. I've been there so long till they decided to make me chairperson. But it's because of the problems that you go through. I remember when I joined KAM, Kajo had appeared at our factory, and they kept coming, and they kept coming, and they kept coming. And this particular day, they had told me, let's go for an AGM. So I'm at the AGM, I'm getting calls from my office, so I step out, and I asked them, what's wrong? Hey, they are arresting John. They're arresting John, the production manager. I said, why? Because we don't have a fire license. But I asked them, but he did the training this week. Yeah, but they said they didn't have a certificate to print, so it is a game they used to play. You do the training, they don't have a certificate, then they come to arrest you on Friday afternoon. So I was at the AGM of CAM. Now I've been invited. I think they wanted me to join. So I quickly go and tell Betty Minor, this is what's happening. She said, no, call so-and-so, call so-and-so, call so-and-so. They were told, wacheni na hawa, leave those people alone. So I said, Kwani, who are you people? Then they said, that's what we do. Because they have engagements with, governments, I mean, with all the county officers and everything. And they said, this company is a registered office. It is not a flight risk. So what discussion you're having on a Friday, you can come and have that discussion on Monday morning. And then it's a scam, so we used to take it up. In fact, it got to a stage. Actually, right now, we are so arrogant. We have a big book at the door, at the gate. And if you want to come in, we'll tell you, where niwa? Kajo. Walikuwa hapa last Friday, look, what new thing are you bringing? So it got to a stage, they started saying, nyinyi ni wale, unakimbilia wakubwa, ni tunawajua, but what do you do? Look at that rate, 75% do not make it past 5 years. It is tough. So guys, join associations, whatever your area is. If you're in BPO, if you're in services, if you're in whatever you are, join your association. Be a participant. Do not let regulations find you. You should be there making noise. And then you'll be picked like I was. But you have to be there to make the noise. Don't let things happen. You should be there when they're happening and say, this doesn't favor us. And us women also have other issues. This work-life balance, we have balancing this and that. Make sure you're there and you're hard. I remember at one time they used to have board meetings at 7:30 and I just had a baby. I told them, anyway, I'm out, I've gone. I can't. I've been up the whole night. And the board was so gracious, they moved those meetings to 4:30. How many people will do that? But now, at least now we respect it. I mean, it's a lot better now. But this 75 figure, guys, don't take it lightly. The environment is rough. So have people to advocate for you, have people to speak for you. 10% now don't make it past 10 years. But there's also something they say, lack of know-how in running an enterprise. And women, we suffer more than men in how to run a business. Educate yourself. There's so much on Google. There's so much on the web, on YouTube, on everything. So build your risk tolerance. I told you. And incidentally, women don't take risks like men. In fact, when I'm making a very tough decision, I'll always call guys. But my brother, my husband, I'll always call and say, what would you do? Okay. I don't even want to know the story. They say I'd go. I say go, let's go. And you go sometimes and it fails. Like the other day I took a risk. I did a trip with somebody I didn't really know. Didn't go so well, but I came back laughing. I said, I took a risk and I know it, but I learned something and I've moved on. Enjoy failure, persistence, innovation, and have a long-term focus. Get a team of advisors to help you do long-term focus. You don't have to make them directors with fiduciary duty. Up to now, I don't have that. What I have is board or advisors. They advise you. But be honest to them. See, feature. What are you featuring? You know, if we sort of look at everybody, you can tell their lifestyle. What are you hiding? There's not much to hide. Pay your taxes and you'll have nothing to hide. So go to the next slide. So now I can spend a little bit more time. So remember we said employee, you have a job. Then you become self-employed, you own the job. Now you want to move to business owners, where you have systems that work for you. That is where I am. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to do anything. Things will happen. But I have to invest in those systems. And I have to keep growing those systems. And then eventually what you want to do is to become an investor where you completely step out and check in a kupata. Passive income is where you want to build yourselves, ladies, so that it's not about you. So you're getting dividend, you're getting royalties, you're getting money when you don't have to do it. Investing in things like building real estate, that brings passive income, sort of, because you don't have to be there. Once you collect rent, unarudi, in another 30 days. Active income is a nice place to start. That's where we all start, because you need the money to push yourself that way. And that is a model, it's called the cash flow quadrant. It's something you guys need to understand. So that, reason is, you don't want to be at 60 saying, how do I move from there to here? Then have good savings so you can go straight to be an investor. So come and tell Flora, have you ever thought of a partner? Can I join you? Can I invest in you? Or the stock market, or whatever, shares, treasury bills, whatever it is. You can move from there to there. But you don't want to be 60 in that conversation. You also don't want to be 60 saying, I'm such a good doctor. But if I'm not here, my business doesn't work. Try and think how you can become a good doctor and step out. Lawyers have done it. Architects have done it. By the way, Google is your friend. Somebody has done it before. So be careful. And remember I said, know yourself, know yourself, know your environment. So that you plan yourself with the years that you know you want to be working. The youngsters, how quickly do you want to move this thing? And there's no secret. I mean, it's difficult to move from an employee to a business owner, but you can. If you have studied what you went through in your own business, when you were employed, you can. But the lessons that I have been through, more or less, you have to go through them, sort of. There's no easy way around this thing, but you can navigate it faster when you're aware. Remember, some of us were not aware. That's why we needed 27 years. So the next one, go to the next slide. I just want to explain why men start businesses and why women start businesses. Allow me to start with the men. They see an opportunity, they want money, they jump. And they want big money. You see, I put it in capital. Men actually start their businesses 10 years before women. 10, on average. Now, why do women start businesses? We have personal goals. I want to accomplish. I want to be able to take my children to school. I want freedom. A lot of them is not necessarily financial, whatever. I want to prove to myself. My father told me I'll make nothing of myself. I want to prove to myself. Maybe that was me. You know? We definitely, we roughly do it 10 years later than men because of motherhood, management experience, traditional socialization. What was I being told? You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You know? Others, 30% is because of tragedies. Divorce, discrimination during pregnancy. I have a lot of corporate friends, by the way, who got to a stage where they're having baby number 2, number 3, and then they're being treated, they're like, you know, you can see the promotion is going to that guy who started after you because they're seeing maybe you're pregnant. And they just quit. That figure is up to 30%. You know, you've hit the ceiling, health of a member, or economic reasons. COVID affected a lot of women. A lot. Well, men too. But that is why people started their own businesses. So once you get to the decision you want to start your business, all I want you to do is to be able to navigate that quadrant quickly to get to where you're going. However, there's a new trend. These young girls that stood up, them wanajitokelezea and saying, me, I want to work for anybody, very early, very confidently. Well done. But invest in yourselves. You don't need to go through the 27 I went through. You can shorten it, you can leapfrog. You can see International Women's Day right now is about digital, information and technology. Learn it, use it. Don't come and do tea how I do. Do like that Kagal. There's a Kagal who's selling tea. She was asking for, is it $3 million? To sell tea where you can tip the farmer internationally. You buy Kenyan tea and you can tip the farmer. She's done some programming. I don't even know what it is. That is an innovative person. She's using her age, her talent to do same old tea, but she's doing it differently. So young girls, we don't want you to go the paths we've gone. To Mia, what is in your age, what is available for you. This is something I need you guys to remember because when you want to start a business, be careful why you're starting it, and there's nothing wrong. Like remember we said there's no right and wrong of entrepreneurship. It's just be clear where you're going. And the next slide, which is the last slide. I have 3 more minutes. We are very in tune. Next slide. Basically, entrepreneurship is about intentionality. Be intentional in what you want. Shorten the hero stage by being prepared. Me, I went in as a hero. Nitafanya, I know. Shorten it. Be prepared. You don't need to be a hero for anybody. All you need to do is have the guts to do it and do it. Prepare well for the expansion stage. That can come quicker than you think. Be prepared. Equip yourself to be coached and mentored. And then learn quickly to coach and mentor. Today I call ourselves, we're in the missing middle. Where if I hire from an SME, they don't have the right mindset. If I hire from a multinational, they say, as at Coke we used to do. No. So I call myself a missing middle. So what we are doing now is we're doing a lot of coaching and mentoring. So I did it first. I got my top leadership to do it, and now we are doing it for everybody. Coach, mentor, get people on your whatever. Proactively make choices. Entrepreneurship is about choices. Spend your time and energy wisely. Work on your business, not in your business. Even if you're the best hairdresser, say you'll be picking the ones that excite you. Those people walk in with drop dead gorgeous hair. Do those ones. The rest, train your people. Why? Because you want to run an enterprise. So become become focused. Share your vision with your team. Your team nobody can do anything for you if you don't share your vision. If your pastor here did not share his vision, you guys would not understand why you're even coming to church. Share your vision, make it clear, and invest in your team. And for me, with those few words, that's all I have.
We can do better with the claps. We can do better with that appreciation. Thank you so much, Flora, for those very insightful comments. I was literally just carried away sitting on my seat. I didn't remember I was the moderator. I almost missed coming back to the stage to do what I need to do. There's a couple of questions that have been coming through just as you have been presenting. And I would like to read out just a few of those questions so that you can help us and help other women in the problems that they're grappling with in business. So there's Esther who says, it seems for you to succeed in business sector, you have to focus on product-related ventures. So how about professional services? In this case, she's looking at administration services. How can she position this in a market and build a brand that will outlive her?
Excellent question, and I must apologize, I'm very skewed towards products. But the principle is exactly the same. If you want to do business-related administrative services, who is your target market? What do they lack that you're going to give them? Where will you find them? And then, size of the pie, slice of the pie, and go for them. There's no difference. So for example, marketing. A lot of people say, I'm not good in marketing. After I use social media, I'm not good, or they can't focus or whatever. You can build a small administrative team to do that. So they go around and go to the smaller businesses and say, come, bring us your marketing. We will put for you social media on Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, have a package for those. If it is, secretarial services, if it is accounting services, if it is HR, which is very, very common, principle remains the same. All you're trying to do is don't be the one. Build systems, build structures, build processes, so that whether it is you training or me training or the other person doing the work, we all do it in the same way. So what you're doing is you're giving a lot of templates and you're giving a lot of document your processes. So if I come in and I come in your business process, whatever, I come in and I say, I have to do an audit for this person. The template will look like this, the initial letter will look like this, the closing letter will look like this. That way, you can have them in the 47 counties, in the whatever. That's what you've always got to tell yourself. If I'm not here, can the next person do exactly what I'm doing, exactly how I'm doing it?
Standardizing the process. And I know for women, we like to be in the business and, holding everything all by our hands. I think that's a tough lesson for us there. There's a question from Christine who says, how do you get past the fear of starting, especially if you're employed and you want to switch to business?
Christine, you suffer from what I call the power of the paycheck. That paycheck is powerful. Haitakuachilia. It will not. So what I tell people is save up so that maybe for the next 6 months to 1 year, even if your business is not working, you're okay. And then start doing your business processes, doing your business plan while you're still in, and then you venture out. So by the time you're out, you already know, if I've talked to so-and-so, she will already give me business, I'll be able to cover maybe my rent and food for the family. That women, that is number one. Once that is covered, then the rest follow later. So plan yourself. I wish I had, but on the other hand, I didn't, and I'm alive.
At what point, this is a question from Nema Kamau. At what point in your business, in terms of the profits you're making in the years in the market, do you bring in investors? And what are any do's and don'ts before or after that process?
I think that I always ask people, why do you want an investor? These days it's very cute. Oh, I'm doing a round, I'm raising money. You're raising money for what? What do you want? So I keep telling people, have your plan. This is what I want. You know which quadrant you're following. You know how quickly you want to get there. Once you have a number, then you say, do I have the money? No. Number one, try and do it yourself. Why? Because it's not that easy to work with somebody. It's a partnership. So if I don't have the money, fine. If I want a partner, then define what do you want them to do? How do you want them to do it? The most important thing I tell people, get professional advice. Get a professional lawyer and get a professional financial advisor. I am 27 years old. I still don't have an investor. I go to the bank and I borrow. I'm looking one day to get there, but remember, it's like a marriage. You have to be ready for the ins and the outs, the do's and the don'ts. So for me, I'm still, to be honest, I've never really looked. And they come looking for me all the time, and I keep saying, I'll come when I'm ready. Yeah.
Wow, try to do it as much as possible.
Well, you can do it with them. Just know what you're getting into. It is a marriage. And then look at statistics of success, look at statistics of failure, look at the reasons people fail, and mitigate against that. Because what they do, the first people who approached me, I've been approached severally, they told me, we want you to get an unemployment contract. We want you to run this business. Give us your projections. So you say, I think this year I'm going to do this year I'm going to do this year I'm going to do this. So they say, okay, based on that, we'll give you so much and we're taking so much equity. Higher. COVID came. Assume you went down. So you're giving away more of your own business. So why would I take your money, then you put a gun to my head? No. The reason I'm an entrepreneur is I don't want a gun around me. No, so you start seeing what kind of investor do I want. That becomes an angel investor, or it becomes debt that you can convert to equity. There are a lot of models. But the most important thing is whatever you're doing, ask them what's the worst case scenario first. But get professional advice. And I cannot say it any other way. Get very good professional, legal and financial advisor.
Wow. There's a question from Elizabeth, who's asking, how does one build a favorable brand perception or brand image?
By doing favorable things. Don't do things that affect people, but also find out where's your target market. Why, who is your target market? How do they behave? What do they like? So remember I told you I even tried to call a tea family tea. My tea is bought by women, we know that. Statistics are something like 65. So how do I get in front of women? How do I change their perception? What habits do they have? How do I relate to them? So it's, in Swahili you'd say kujipendeza. You have to get in front of them and let them understand. But nobody can choose you if they don't know that you exist. And that's why sometimes you can't start a business around the corner and sit there like this. You're wasting time.
Wow, and there's actually a question that is related to that, on how do you make your business visible?
Exactly like that, marketing. Marketing, marketing, marketing. You guys have social media, so how do you get yourself known? There's an obnoxious way of getting ourselves known. We have governors who have done it, but there's also pleasant ways of getting yourself known. Show up, show up, show up to church, show up wherever. Me, I keep telling people, sell, 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 and sell some more. I know half my friends have registered me. In fact, Tigal, Flora Melvins, I don't even have a surname. Flora Melvins, because everywhere I go, I speak about it, I say it, I give a lot. Ladies, if there's an easy way to get your product in front of people, is give if you can. Let them experience. If it's a service, offer something for free. So, and something that doesn't cost you. Let's say I'm a lawyer and I'll say, oh, I'll do for you a free search, but allow me to do your conveyancing. Such is 2,000 something, because you've seen the potential. Somebody's like, really, you want to invest in me? But be seen, be seen, be seen, be seen.
Yeah. Be visible, be
visible. Programs, the banks, everybody's running programs right now for women entrepreneurs. Guys, if you're not in that program, umelala sana. Yesterday I saw one on TV and I was like, hiya, I was not called to that one. I'm sleeping on the job. Visibility is key. It's the same thing. Look at politicians. We even choose politicians that are not brilliant. Why? Because of name recognition. So you have to be recognized, recognizable.
And the last question, now that we also know people have searched you and you're very visible, and they have found out that you're also in KEPSA. So what are some of the government policies and opportunities that exist that women can take advantage of?
We have a brilliant one called AGPO, which is the 30% opportunity for women. So any government, parastatal, any tender, and we're now trying to push it to county government, have to give women. Now, you heard I've sat in several government parastatals. Do you know what they say? We don't find women, wamefanya zote, gazeti, na flowers, na travel agency. And I'm the first one to say, that's not all women do. I know women who build roads. I know women who build bridges. I know women who do tech. I know women, tutawatafuta. And every single time, including my own board, we used to struggle to look for women. So where are you guys? Now I know getting the details is not that easy. And then of course now there's the narrative where the husbands are telling the woman, you apply in my name. You know, there's a little bit of that. So we have that. We have a lot of mentorship. We have mentorship with all our senior leaders where you can plug in. I think it comes monthly. We have a lot of programs. KEPSA is the head of the private sector in Kenya. So anybody running a program will come and offer it to our membership. So if you come and join as a member, and by the way, we have very, very, very favorable SME rates, you'll be able to get into those programs where you're trained, you're mentored, because again, remember guys, what did I tell you? Know thyself, know thy environment, know thy field. You have to know what is going on. And these are not the days when us were growing up, it used to be the Nation newspaper and Standard. No. Now everybody is disseminating information everywhere. And belonging to a BMO, a business membership organization, is always where you can do it. So we have a lot. We have a COVID fund. MasterCard are actually giving interest-free loans up to $500,000. Wow. And I think they're even increasing it right now. We have a lot we are doing for ladies and for SMEs.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Flora, for all those answers. There's so many other questions that